To truly understand the magnitude of Sir Lynden's contribution, we must remember the era in which he rose to prominence. Leaders of his generation, not just in the Bahamas, but across the Caribbean and the world, emerged in a time of seismic change. They were the architects of new nations, the champions of self-determination, and the voices of a people yearning for their rightful place in the world.
This is in fact a great time for PLPs. When I come to this portion of the year, I remember last year I shared, or maybe it was the year before, I shared with you that this time of the year I always think of a song that Barbara Streisand sang. And in the portion of the song she said that memories are such beautiful messages. And when we reflect on Sir Lynden and the PLP forefathers, memories are certainly beautiful messages. We often take things for granted. Because I will tell you something, as a young boy growing up in Highland Park, I had some good friends who were grandsons of Samaila Butler. And I remember I used to walk up to the house and you see the police at the gate and they never stop you. And you go there, but you never realize that these were great men. I remember as a younger man in the early days of tourism, Mr. Forbes. So Lynden used to come down here and you would see him and you would hail him like, okay, these days say he's the Prime Minister. But you don't realize what greatness you have in your midst. We ought not to take those things for granted. I look at Cynthia Donaldson and I just smile. I look in this room, I see all these beautiful women faces. Some of you would know that there was a fellow that was casting some aspersions talking about Bahamian women. I've been in one fight in my life in school. I was in junior high at S.C. McPherson. I can't remember what all the guys said, but I remember him say, your mom. Hey, Sister Gloria, when he say your mom, all right? When I listened to that man talking about Bahamian women, Pat Rowing said, my blood run up, my pressure high. Because I know you don't have no right to talk about our Bahamian women in that way. So as a PLP, a Lynden Pindling PLP, we had no choice but to stand up and say that's wrong. Now I ought to tell you, Minister Mitchell, 3 years ago when I came, got very active in the PLP, there's a lady who she used some language to tell me some things. I still to this day have to learn some things, right? Because in my mother's house, if you look like you on case, she, that short woman, she rough you up. So I didn't know how to respond in kind and they beat me up with some things. So I said to her, when we were making peace, I said, you have to teach me some of that. And she laughed, and she said, just go listen to it. So when I went out there, we were talking about these things of women, some of those things came to my mind. But I said, because I know who our forefathers are and what they represented, yes, you can have a revolution. Yes, you can do it quietly. But you must cause the change. Because you are PLPs. You are Lynden Pindling PLPs. I think of Dry Bread when I was driving this morning. He said, the Bahamian music is in my soul. I thought about Wendell Stewart when he sang, I Thank Heaven. And I thank heaven, man. And then, there's some people who would help you believe that because you got some roads that look all right, because you got water running, because they tell you your infrastructure is good, you should shut your mouth and stay in your corner. But Tony McKay say, pay me what you owe me. That's the Lynden Pindling PLP. Now I want to tell you, I see some youngins in this room who are new PLPs. And I'm grateful. It's good to see your faces. Because you are going to be a part of a great legacy. Because perhaps someday people will speak of you this way. But I say to the older PLP, there's something ahead that we got to keep our eyes fixed on. I will tell you a story as I conclude. Last week, all along Midshipman Road, we had some fires. I was driving down, I saw a fire in my mother's yard and dashed in there and put it out. I called my daughter, I said, you need to go home. The next day, I said, you need to go home so you can watch things. She went home. When she returned, she said, oh, Daddy, everything is okay. 5 minutes later, she called me pound again and said, you got to come, you got to bring a hose, the fire in the yard. So I hop in the car, got a hose on there, met two guys helping. And the fire was blazing on that eastern side of the house. And I was standing over the fence shooting the water, but didn't seem to be backing up. So I reached up on the 5 feet fence on the barbed wire, I grabbed it with this hand, and I leaped on over. When I leaped over, I said, give me the hose. She said, what you doing? I said, give me the hose. She gave me the hose and I walked up to the fire, and you would know, if you take that water close to the fire, you get a little more reaction. Now why am I telling you this? I told you there's coming a season where you're going to have to stand for some people who can't stand for themselves. You're going to have to take your energy to the fire. You can put out the fire, you know. Let me tell you something. Fire can't put out water, but water can put out fire. So I'm saying to you PLPs, as we march, we remember the position that people like Lynden Pindling took. You remember the position that people like Marla Butler took. You remember the position that people like Eddie Hanna took. I'm so happy that there are short men taking stand. When I go to the graduations, I always tell them I am at least 2 feet taller than another fellow. But when I look at a good Brave Davis, when I think of a great Lynden Pindling, when I think of an Eddie Hanna, then I know I'm in good company. So today I want to say happy birthday all over the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to a great man. And there ought to be a day when we remember him. Because I don't know if we were required to do what he did, if we would be able to do it today. So today I say to you, my beloved PLPs all over Grand Bahama and all over the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, this is our time. This is the time for decency, this is the time for fair play, and thank God we are under a tent where all of us are covered. PLP! PLP! PLP!
Yeah, so bring the water, out the torch, tell the afternoon.
Ourselves to the ideals he championed. Let us strive to build a Bahamas that is worthy of his sacrifice. A nation where every citizen has the opportunity to realize their full potential. Let us honor his memory by continuing the work he started, by building a brighter future for generations to come. Let us remember the legacy of the late, great father of the nation, Sir Lynden Pindling. Thank you. May God bless you. May God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you. So let's welcome Pia on the role of the master.
But of course, good morning, Grand Bahama. It's a pleasure to be here. And let me tell you, I came this weekend to celebrate with the staff of the Ministry of Labor and Public Service to show them some appreciation for all of the hard work that they do. Because it's important to say, I see you. It's important to say, thank you. It's important to say, keep going. And coincidentally, I was invited by Lady Pindling, who is a near and dear mentor of mine, and I spent a lot of time with her, just sitting and listening. Just sitting and listening. And today, she's having a lunch at her home in New Providence and invited me to come. And I said, well, I won't be there. And then I heard that this was happening. And I said, but I will be celebrating Sir Lynden anyway. And I know I don't look that old, but I remember him personally. I remember everything about him, my interactions with him, even though I was a child or growing up. I remembered his passing, and I continue to remember his life, because it's on his shoulders we stand on.
Now, I can stick to 56 for 1 second. In 56, there were 29 seats. The PLP won 6, so there were 23 that were won by the other party. No, not the other party, by the other side. That other side were 23 independent young people, independent seats. Why were they independent? Because the UBP did not form until 58. So there was only one political organization. That was the Progressive, say it with me, Liberal Party. And so the UBP came after, in 58, after that election. Then there was the women's suffrage movement, and it was the PLP who hit the road, who traveled the world to ensure that women in this country had their rights and their rights protected. And that happened under the leadership of Sir Lynden Pindling. So when you speak into the young girls, you have justifiable reasons to tell them why you be PLP. Then there was the 58 general strike, the one and only general strike in this country. Only one political organization stood with the workers in this country. That was Sir Lynden Pindling, again, and the PLP.
To develop and do things, it requires you to engage Bahamian people. And that's what he did. And he took us to greatness. Just half that. He ended up being the leader to take this Bahamian to historic joining to nationhood. Right? And all the things we talked about. Bahamas Air, majority rule, all those things. They were things that he did with us as people, as PLPs, working and doing going forward. So that was one of the things that we have to appreciate that you just have to look back at his resume and remember to do things the right way, right? And take your hits along the way because that's what the experience is. Brings what? Wisdom. So with that, I'd like to say thank you all for coming to this function, and let's continue to remember the great Lynden Oscar Pindling and the PLP. Yeah. PLP? PLP.
To Sir Lynden family, we say thank you for your time and sacrifice. We as a grateful people has come today to contribute the date of his birthday and make a small donation, a small down payment, on the debt that we can never repay. God bless you, God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and I say happy, heavenly birthday, Sir Lynden Oscar Pindling.
Thank you very much. The other thing I want to remind you as Jamal is speaking is that when H.M. Taylor and Cyril Stevenson and Bill Cartwright founded the PLP, one of the things they said was that the problem at the time was there was no public opinion. And the PLP was founded to shape public opinion. Seems we have forgotten that road. We are, in some senses, too reflexive and too defensive, as opposed to seeking to change public opinion. So on this project, you said that her generation can adopt the project of whether this becomes a national holiday. It took me 27 years to get the country to agree to National Heroes Day and the 10th of January being a public holiday. So it takes a while to convince your own citizens of the worth of the date. But that's a job which all of us now must do, try to shape public opinion, not just on this, but on many other things.
You know why Hank Aaron and Barry Bonds hit all those home runs? They kept their eyes on the ball. They didn't allow themselves to be distracted by the contorted gyrations of the pitcher as he wound up to throw the ball. They didn't allow themselves to be sidetracked by the vile, racist insults coming from twisted fans. They stayed focused on the only thing that matters when you are standing at the plate in the batter's box. They kept their eyes on the ball. To paraphrase a great hymn, watch the curves, the knuckleballs, the sliders. Never falter, never fail. Keep your hands upon the throttle and your eyes upon the rail. Stay focused. Stay focused on mercy, not power. on love, not hatred, on hope, not despair, on peace, not war, on joy, not sorrow. We must stay on message and stay on mission.
This man knows his history. Chairman, Minister Mitchell, Minister Moxley, Senators Turner, Senator Russell, Ambassador Seymour Tolmanson, Deputy Chief Passport Officer Mr. Rowe, Stalwart Councillors, Reverend Dr. Keith Russell, National Vice Chairs Mrs. Morris Ferguson, Mrs. Cooper, Mr. Sawyer, Chairwoman of the Women's Branch, Ms. Maycock, Chairman of the Men's Branch, Mr. Patton, PYL Chairwoman, Ms. Brooks, Party Officer, my beautiful wife Tova, PLP, good morning. We are here this morning not to mourn the absence of a man, but to celebrate the enduring legacy of Sir Lynden Oscar Pindling. What would have been his 95th birthday. My Lord. Though he is no longer physically with us, his spirit, his vision, and his unwavering dedication to the Bahamian people remain as vibrant and powerful as ever. Sir Lynden sat at the helm, guiding our nation through the turbulent waters of change, ushering an independent Bahamas. He was a force of nature, a leader whose boldness and fierceness in the fight for a better Bahamas resonated deeply with every Bahamian. For me, Sir Lynden was more than just a national hero. He was a figure spoken with reverence in my own home. My father, Kingsley Smith Sr., Stalwart Councillor, and my mother, Flora, shared a close bond with him. A bond forged in the early days of the Progressive Liberal Party's management in West End. As a young boy, I remember my parents speaking of Sir Lynden with immense admiration. His name synonymous with hope and progress. Those were the days of rallies, of fervent belief, a shared dream for our nation. We as children would eagerly anticipate these gatherings, even hiking for miles, simply to witness Sir Lynden speak. Such was his impact. Such was the magnetic pull of his presence. He had the ability to ignite a fire within us, to instill a sense of purpose and belonging. In those days, my uncles, Sonny and Dennis, were ardent supporters of the PLP, their loyalty unwavering. As a child, I was surrounded by family and people in West End who fought for Bahamian rights in our country with Sir Lynden.
Continue to honor him. We continue to revisit the principles on which he's built our great party. Yes. You always have to stick to the core. Yes. When you see that you're losing out, usually you got to revert to the core. Yes. And the core principles are those that he and the persons that worked along with him have laid, one of which is my uncle, Carlton Francis. So we continue to honor the legends, but on this day, we say a happy, heavenly 95th birthday to the great Sir Lynden Oscar Pindling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir Lynden introduced many policies that would lay the foundation for a modern Bahamas society, focusing on education, healthcare, and social welfare. His belief in the power of education to uplift individuals and communities was clear, as he championed the expansion of educational opportunities for all Bahamians. This commitment to education helped produce a generation of skilled professionals who would go on to shape the future of our nation. Furthermore, Sir Lynden Pindling's leadership in foreign policies cemented the Bahamas' standing on the global stage. He recognized the importance of international diplomacy and cultivated strong relationships with neighboring countries, as well as with global powers. He advocated for the rights of small nations, ensuring that the Bahamas had a voice in the discussion that shaped the Caribbean and global political landscapes. As we celebrate Sir Lynden Pindling's birthday, we also celebrate the enduring spirit of resilience, unity, and progress that he instilled in our nation. His vision for a free and just and prosperous Bahamas remains a guiding light for us all. Let us honor his memory by continuing to work together to build upon the strong foundation he laid, ensuring that the Bahamas remains a place of opportunity and hope for future generations. May we never forget the sacrifices made by Sir Lynden, and may we always strive to fulfill the dreams of a united and inclusive and striving nation. I can remember I can remember my mom talking about Sir Lynden and how proud she was of Sir Lynden gracing her little wooden house in Foxtown, Abaco, and would eat from her dish. And she would normally say, you know, it was only the dishes that we had around then and a spoon. I would say, and you gave that to the Prime Minister to eat out of? And she would say, yes, I did. And she would make sure that we would carry this on, that the PLPC legacy would live on in our home. And I am also doing the same, as I would have asked my daughter to write my speech for me today. So she can never, ever forget this Bahamas and this great man, Sir Lynden Pindling. Thank you very much, and may God bless Sir Lynden Pindling's legacy, the Bahamas, and all of you. PLP! PLP!